And this guy is going the wrong way. It don't matter, man. You know better. You ain't got your seatbelt and none of that. Do me a favor. Do me a favor. Why don't you go back to the house, turn around, and go the right way, so we won't have to do anything like write some tickets to you and all that good stuff. All right? You know better. You know better. You live right over here.
Yeah, I know.
You know better. But that's still not the right thing, though, right? Come on, man. Do it right.
All right, I got you.
All right. I've been a Detroit police officer for just under 23 years. So it's been a ride.
We seem to bear the brunt of a lot of the press on how violent it is here. And it seems that when we have a decrease in one crime, another violent type of crime will rise. And we just have to deal with it as best as possible.
When you talk about the community's perception, there was no crime fighting. Response times for emergency calls well up over an hour. Police stations were closed after 4 o'clock. Physical buildings were closed and combined into districts. So there were some neighborhoods that didn't even have a station they could call their own station. And a city where crime was continuing to soar.
Crime is an unfortunate part of urban life in America, and Detroit has been no different in that regard.
It's always been a tough town. I mean, a lot of mobsters in the 30s, the 60s and 70s, there was a lot of violence. It was mostly the heroin trade, if I recall, that propelled that. And then the crack epidemic came. And that was incredibly violent.
And it just didn't start when the city had a majority African-American population.
The 1943 riot was kind of a true race riot.
Essentially, white people taking open season out on blacks.
I was 11 years old. It was 1967 civil unrest.
It's known in Detroit often as a rebellion, an uprising, rather than as a riot. And it was African Americans essentially rebelling against the oppressive conditions they were living in.
I remember seeing tanks, and I felt then I did not want to be a police officer.
The police were seen kind of as the enforcement arm of the white establishment. And yeah, after a time, you have enough of that stuff, and Detroit burned.
During my time as the DA, as the prosecutor, I've seen 4 or 5 mayors, certainly 4 or 5 police chiefs, lots of changing of the guard. We still have many people that are undereducated, underutilized, underemployed. We have a loss of hope in some people.
My home called. And so when I got the call, I was asked one single question: do you want to be the police chief in Detroit? The picture was not pretty. I knew coming in the city was facing the largest municipal bankruptcy in this country's history. Morale in the police department was at the very bottom. Police officers paid certainly not at market rate. Morale of the community was at rock bottom. They were sick and tired of violence. They were sick and tired of just crime going unabated. So we pulled together a strategy and a plan. We converged on a location in a very strategic way. Everything you could imagine went on in this apartment building. Shootings, drug dealing, prostitution, sexual assaults, robberies. We went in and we made arrests. Very strategic. We arrested the right people. And I remember as we were bringing individuals out of that apartment building in handcuffs and placing them on the jail bus, people began to lean out of their windows and started cheering and clapping. I wanted the larger community to see, one, the police were back, and we're about the business of making this a safe city again.
We're presented anywhere between 18,000 and 22,000 felony cases a year to review. My office has never been properly resourced. The police department has never been properly resourced. And so that is also a huge issue in why we have so much crime here.
You know, I'm very conscious of the perception of crime. Our critics will say, well, you have all your resources in downtown and not in the neighborhoods. That's not true. Whenever I go anywhere across this city, 2 things I talk about people really acknowledge as a positive thing that we've done: neighborhood police officers and Greenlight.
going on, young man? Not much. Everything's good. How's everything with you? As an NPO, I think we look to help people out best we can with the quality of life issues. I know I've been getting complaints about your dogs at night, I guess when people going to work.
Right on the 3 houses from the house on that block, it's just not just
Okay, so that's good information. That's good information to know. And I always come and talk to you, right? And then we always get it resolved. Well, my neighbor doesn't cut their grass, or my neighbor threw sticks in my backyard, or, you know, my neighbor has a barking dog. Other things like crime, when the neighbors see things but they're afraid to say things, but they'll reach out to us and give us information to assist us.
I did regular patrol for 14 years, and then in May I started the NPO program. Just showing our presence, it kind of deters a lot of crime. They see us hanging around a lot. You know, they're like, no, the police hang out in this area. We're not gonna go there today.
I understood early on in my time, robberies were occurring at places of opportunity, that criminals look at as places of opportunity. And so I said, what if we could create safe havens?
They have several cameras inside and outside of the location, and it's monitored downtown. 24 hours is being monitored.
Detroit's Project Greenlight system of monitored, interconnected security cameras outside businesses has spread from 8 original businesses to now more than 400 across the city.
This all happened yesterday morning, and 3 people were arrested in the case in just a matter of hours, thanks to those high-definition cameras being closely watched by Detroit police.
Any crime or anything that happens in that gas station or outside is recorded. So it helps us to find who the bad guy is, and it helps them solve the crime a lot faster.
Certainly, I think we're at about 375 green lights across the city. We've seen a reduction in robbery. We've made some key arrests, signaling to the criminals that you come to a green light location, we're going to find you.
See the green lights ahead of us? We want it where it's the whole strip is just green lights one day.
The evolution of the city, as people like to say, or the comeback of Detroit, didn't just start going on a couple years ago. I mean, it's been going on for over a decade. Over the last few years, we've seen some changes actually get to the neighborhoods. Some of the neighborhoods, not all the neighborhoods, but some of the neighborhoods.
You know, when I got here, it was unimaginable. I'm talking about the number of vacant dwellings across this city. It's no secret, these have been places where crimes have occurred, where people who have committed homicide have tried to conceal the bodies in these locations.
So if we can just get the blight, I think, under control, a lot of the other things will fall in place.
Certainly the efforts that have been made over the 5 years has been just unbelievable, with the number of houses that have been either taken down because they couldn't be restored, or houses that are now occupied through the efforts of the land bank.
People are proud to be in the neighborhood. People are, kids are riding bikes, and people are walking their dogs and pushing their children in strollers.
And so it's important that we continue our efforts getting rid of these abandoned structures or restoring them. If you expect people to come in and invest in a city, the city must be safe. That's not an option.